The closing bell rings in just 5 minutes. The markets are well off the lows of the session. The Dow was down as much as more than 600 points earlier. Now we're clawing back some of those losses and are down just about 200, 0.5% on the S&P 500. Now, the high for pot stocks, those are also wearing off today after the sector was ablaze yesterday. This is all on reports the Trump administration would reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. In actuality, the administration only rescheduled state licensed medical marijuana. Even so, this shift will likely make it easier to buy and sell cannabis. And another, shall we say, colorful corner of the market is getting even brighter. Companies that make psychedelics are getting a jolt from Washington in the form of an executive order from President Trump. He is speeding up FDA review of certain psychedelic drugs. That's where our countdown closer is placing his bets. Dan Ahrens is the Advisorshares Managing Director, Portfolio Manager, and COO with $2 billion in assets under management. Hey, Dan, so what do you like? What are your picks?
Well, if we're talking about cannabis, we're talking about U.S. cannabis, and it's very important to understand the difference between Canadian listed cannabis stocks and U.S. stocks. Our top holdings in our fund, which is the largest cannabis fund in the world, are Curaleaf. Curaleaf has the biggest footprint in the United States, also business in Europe, and potentially some of the most to gain from this new rescheduling in cannabis. Another one is called Trulieve. Trulieve is by far the biggest medical cannabis provider in the state of Florida and a number of other states. These are these U.S. companies that trade only OTC in the United States because we needed these federal reforms to set a lot of things right for these companies. And the executive order followed by the attorney general signing off on a rescheduling is the best news to ever happen to U.S. cannabis stocks. And we're expecting some really big things, although the market is misunderstanding it today.
Okay, talk to me about another part, psychedelics. I mean, they've been on a tear, but they're so volatile. So how do you withstand some of the volatility, which there's more volatility, I would say, maybe in the psychedelics market than there has been in the cannabis market, which is maybe a little bit more mature? What do you think?
Certainly. Well, we're proud to have the only psychedelics-focused ETF in existence. And with psychedelics, we're talking about real biotech companies that are listed on NASDAQ, listed on the New York Stock Exchange, or even the Toronto Exchange sometimes. And they have things in FDA trial for real treatments, real drugs sometimes, for alternative treatments that are needed for PTSD, traumatic brain injury, untreatable depression, lots of things, and they are extremely volatile. But we really applaud the White House for just this past week signing an executive order to examine and fast track a lot of these psychedelic treatments that are really needed for things like PTSD among veterans, among many other things that aren't treatable by current drug courses and treatments.
What about the volatility, though?
Extreme volatility. People need to understand we're talking about microcap stocks in most cases, sometimes some small cap stocks, but they trade on their IP, their intellectual property, where they stand in FDA approval processes. And that's why I think a fund like ours is a good idea. Rather than trying to pick the winners and losers, we have a fund that has at any time 25 to 30 stocks that have large exposure to psychedelics or really specialize in psychedelics. But boy, they are volatile. I think it's better to wrap them up in a fund. And sometimes, we're not an index fund, we're an actively managed fund. So with that big volatility, I don't know which one of these names might be up or down double digits on any given day. Sometimes we trade into that and try to take advantage of that opportunity.
Well, Dan Ahrens, we really appreciate your time today. Thank you for being with us.